Hey guys, welcome back. So unfortunately I got a flat wheel, so in this video we're going to replace the flat wheel with the Space Saver wheel, go through the toolbox, and obviously then at the very end we're going to replace the Space Saver wheel back with a new tyre. Okay, to change the flat wheel we need access to the spare wheel, so let's lift up the boot. In a previous video I installed a little boot popper here so I can open up the boot without a key. If you want to see how I did it, check out the build in a previous video. Right, this lifts up here and then it lifts up a second time. So it folds away like that. We can leave it down like that for the moment. And we have a nut here and that locks everything in place so nothing can jump up when we're driving. So first of all, undo that loads of times. I put a little nut there to stop this from wiggling around. Now we lift out this. If we spin it around, see there are instructions of how to take off the wheel. So the instructions are: we remove one nut, then we insert the plastic insert that locates everything, then we can remove the other 3 nuts and the locking nut using the locking key, remove the wheel leaving the holder behind, then to reinstall the holder or the locator still installed, we can install the other 4 using this little key here that will hand thread them in. Then what we can do is tighten up those 4 and remove this little locator and put in our locking nut in its place. Okay, so we can put that away. Okay, by just sliding that forward a little bit more, it'll say put. Now we have access to the full toolkit. So just have a look at all the tools, what comes with the Audi and what I'm currently missing. So the first one is a 13 and 10 spanner. Very handy to have. Put that back in. Next is our towing eye. So when you pull this out, it can be fitted somewhere at the back here or at the front of the car. You take out a little grill at the front. That's how you attach that. This is our locking nut. So do not lose this. They're great fun to try and get the wheel nuts off afterwards. This is our breaker bar. This is our locating pin as seen in the diagram for when we put the wheel back on. There should be a screwdriver here which we're missing. There should be a set of tweezers just here which I'm missing. This one here I'm missing. What I think it is a little holder that'll hold the back of this or else the ordinary lug bolts, and it'll help you thread them into the wheel because the wheel is quite deep. That's what I think that is. I'm missing it, I don't have it. Moving on, we have the jack. This one here is a very important little pin. It'll help you take off the center caps off the wheels. And this one here is a mat. So obviously mine's never been used. But if you're on a business trip or whatever and you get a flat wheel, rather than having to bend down in the dirt, you can put that out and keep your suit lovely and clean. Right, now we know that all the tools are, we can lift this up and out. Okay, so to take it out, we can pull it back out of the way, we can then lift it up and it'll come straight up. You read the instructions on it. Even if you're doing an MOT, this is very good advice. It says 60 psi on it, so do make sure that your wheel is actually up to 60 psi. Your maximum speed that you can go with this wheel on is 50 miles an hour or 80 kilometers. So don't exceed it because it is a very thin contact patch. Right, let's get this wheel on. Okay, so with our toolkit at hand, we can take out our center cap removing pin, hold it like that, I suppose. It just slides into one of those little holes, give it a pull and off it comes. Make sure to put that back because it's really annoying if you're on the side of the road and you cannot find that little pin. So now that's back in, that's back in. So now we take out our jack and we take out our breaker bar. And what we're going to do first is just loosen each of those nuts the whole way around. Not take them off, but just crack them once open. Now after locating the seam, we put the jaws into the middle of the seam and we start winding it. So it's not a pumpy one, it's a exercise one. We keep going till the flat wheel is off the ground. Now with the wheel off the ground, all we have to do is put in the Audi breaker bar. We've already broken these loose while the wheel is on the ground. Now all we have to do is just wind them off and pull the wheel off.
Some time later.
Push it. And we're back with the new tire. Okay, so that's the new tire on the rim, but let's have a look at the old tire and why it failed. So you can see there is crack marks all the way through, so that's instantly it's going to be a write-off anyway, even though there's loads of meat in the tread indicators. But if you look here, where's it gone? Here. That's a piece of porcelain because someone threw out a broken coffee mug onto the road. I didn't see it in time and ran over it. Didn't think anything of it, but yeah, the next day I had a flat wheel. But I didn't notice that either, so I went over to see my other half. While driving over to her house, I was like, the car's driving awful funny. And I think I drove maybe 2 or 3 kilometers, and these are run flats, or like very thick walled sides, because they are, if you can see it upside down, it's 225/45 Z17, so the Z means that they have a very thick or fat sidewall. And of course I drove on it, didn't notice anything. It was a slight little pull, but didn't think anything of it. And yeah, I wore through the sidewall, so it's totally worn out. And as soon as I brought it over, the staff just looked at it, I were going to change the wheel, and just said that tire's a write-off, get a new one. So I actually feel much better because there's a hole in it, obviously there. That's bald there. But I think what more concerned me was the giant crack marks in it. I checked all the other wheels. All the other wheels are fine. It was just this one wheel. So just as well I am replacing it. So, have a brand new tire on the rim. Let's get it installed. Now we take our breaker bar, and while the wheel is still sitting on the ground with the weight of the car sitting on top of it, we can break them open. Okay, that's the last one I've done. Next, the trolley jack goes underneath the car. So where do you jack it up from? Well, what I always do is look for the seam, just here in the middle, and put the middle of the trolley jack in the middle of the seam here. You'll see that there is 2 little cutouts, and that's where you should be jacking it from. Okay, let's jack that up. Now using our Milwaukee drill, we can undo the nuts. Carefully. Let's take away our donut, our space saver wheel. Just have a look in. Yep, no lip. Everything looks okay. Red calipers for the extra horsepower, all extra 5 horsepower, and that's per side. So like that's like a 225, and when you add up the 225 plus each of the red calipers, you get 245. Okay, so just before I installed the wheel, I gave it a quick wash, so on the outside and on the inside it's lovely and clean again. Right, now let's install it. Okay, so looking at our box of goodies, we take this one here out, and we take this one here out. And what do we do? So this one obviously is the hanger, so we put this in first. We start threading it. Now that that's wound in, we take our little pin. We can shove it here at the side, and then we have a little bit of leverage. Oops. So then we can just turn it like that, and turns lovely and easily. There we go. Okay, now that that's locked in place, now we can get our wheel, and all we have to do is actually slide the wheel down that. It'll hit this piece here, or sit on this, and then all we have to do is get the 4 ordinary nuts in, and then take this out and put our lock nut in instead. Okay, just line them up. Okay, that was actually very easy. So it just sits there. Now we take our lug bolts, put them into the deep socket, put them in here, start the thread. Okay, that's enough done. And then we continue on until they're all in, and then we can use the impact just to drive them home. I know it's a bit of personal preference, but what I like to do is there's 2 of these lugs here and here. and if you draw a triangle between them, they come down to here. And I always put this one here as the locking nut and put the rest of them as ordinary nuts. So when you go to undo it, you know straight away that this one here is always going to be the locking nut, and the rest of these are just going to be ordinary nuts. Oh, but it's up to your own preference choice. That's just what I like to do. Okay, now let's just get this out. That in there, give it a little spin. Should come out nice and easy. Get it out. Right, now to get the last one in, which is the last one of these. Now to get the last one of these in. That's that done. Okay, now to get the locking nut. To get the locking nut in, so I always leave these aside because I'm absolutely terrified of losing them. So it's a multi-spline with a spline here. So there's the two of them together. Right, now let's put them in. So there's our two tabs, so it goes in between here. And we'll start it off again with the deep socket. Now with the jack released and the tire back on the ground, we can give each of the nuts a final torque. It's about one Stephen Ogoga. And always make sure after you put the lock nut in that the key comes out and doesn't get stuck in there, because you'll be down the road, it'll fly off, and next time you go to take off the wheel, you'll wonder, where the hell is the key? So don't forget to take this off. And of course, put it back in the right spot. And the key goes back in here. Leave that pointing like that. And the pin for putting on the wheel goes back in the right place too. Perfect. Now we take our cap, and these little lugs here and here, we try to line them up, and then we'll pop it in. And make sure it's tight, because you don't want them to come off, because they're damn expensive to replace. So guys, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching. See you later. Push up.